Claim evidence reasoning, otherwise known as CER or CERs, are a scientific process that uses evidence to explain natural phenomenon and describe the world around us. It is essentially a roadmap for presenting in-depth explanations. This process zeroes in on three components: your knowledge of scientific concepts, your ability to identify appropriate and relevant evidence, and the thought process behind your scientific reasoning. Critical thinking is at the heart of scientific inquiry. A good scientist is one who never stops asking why things happen or how things happen. Science makes progress when we find data that contradicts our current scientific ideas. Neil deGrasse Tyson was quoted as saying, "I can guarantee you that the most important moments of your life are decided not by what you know, but by how you think." What do you do when you confront a problem you've never seen before? Do you say, "I'm not trained for this," and walk away? You say, "Wow, that's a problem I've never seen before. Let me try to solve it." Science literacy is not so much about what you know, but about how your brain is wired for thought, how your brain is wired to ask questions, empowering you to probe knowledge and information that's out there in the quest for what is objectively true in the world. So before we start taking notes, we need to set it up. So turn to the next fresh, clean sheet of paper in your composition notebook. Draw a line halfway down, dividing your paper in half. Count down 10 lines, draw a line across the page. Count down 10 more lines and draw another line across the page. Turn to the next page, measure 4 centimeters from the left red line and make a mark. Draw a line down the page on that 4 centimeter mark. Now you're going to count down 10 lines again, draw a line across the page. Count down 10 more lines and draw another line across the page. Now we're ready to take notes. Go back to the first page. Question: how do CERs help us to think like scientists? Please pause the video and copy these notes into your composition notebook. All labs start with a question or a problem. The claim comes after you've finished analyzing all of the relevant and appropriate evidence. So while it's developed second, the claim is presented first. Your claim can be a solution to the problem, an understanding of scientific phenomena, or an observation of the relationship between independent and dependent variables in an experiment. It's important that you formulate an effective claim that you can later support or refute through evidence gathered in the study using universal scientific understandings. Your claim is a sentence in length, and it needs to be accurate, specific, and answer the question. Pause the video and copy the notes into your composition notebook. So, example, what is my dad? The claim, my dad is a space alien. This will make sense in a second. The evidence is all of the scientific data that supports your claim. What's your proof? Evidence comes in the form of data. Once you analyze your data, then determine that it's both relevant and appropriate, you can use it as evidence to support your claim. Just as a trial lawyer presents the jury only with evidence that supports their argument, you won't use all of your data as evidence, just the relevant data that accurately supports your claim. This means you must carefully analyze your findings to determine which data to use, decipher its meaning, and present it in a way that's meaningful to people who aren't familiar with your experiment. The evidence in the data is used to support your claim. It can be either qualitative or quantitative, depending on the question or lab. The evidence can even be the data table that you create. You should only use data within your evidence that directly supports your claim. Please pause the video and copy the notes into your composition notebook. As you watch this Audi commercial, please write down all the evidence the little girl has to support her claim that her father is an alien.
I have evidence that proves my dad's a space alien. He speaks a weird language. He drinks green stuff. He says he's from Albuquerque. I'm not buying it. I mean, just look at him. And one more thing, he has a spaceship. The evidence doesn't lie. My dad's an alien.
The highly advanced.
Hopefully you wrote down all of the pieces of evidence that supports the young girl's claim that her father is an alien. That brings us to reasoning. You need to connect your claim and your evidence. What does it mean? Explaining your reasoning is often the most challenging part of writing a CER. During this section, you'll reflect on the evidence you've collected in the previous step. Then connect the information to your scientific understanding and original claim. How does the data support the claim? What scientific principles describe why your evidence supports that claim? This is your inference. This is kind of your conclusion. It shows a detailed understanding of the scientific principles involved. You're going to make sure when you're making a scientific CER that you're using the correct science vocabulary. Pause the video and copy your notes into your composition notebook. Also, please see if you can reason out connect the evidence that the little girl presented, why her father is an alien, and write it down. So, here's what a claim evidence reasoning would look like on my dad is an alien. Question, what is my dad? Claim, my dad is an alien. The evidence that she gathered was that he speaks a weird language, he drinks green liquid, he wears futuristic clothing, and he has a spaceship. Notice that I didn't mention the evidence that she said that he's from Albuquerque. And then the reasoning, right? So now I'm going to, where's my proof? And how does it tie into my claim? Aliens are not from Earth, so they have their own language. Some people believe that aliens have landed in New Mexico, which is why many aliens are seen with green skin. Aliens wear spacesuits for protection, and aliens use spaceships to travel. So that would be my claim evidence reasoning. When you're doing a claim evidence reasoning, you're going to want to always reference your CER to the CER checklist. So your claim should always answer the questions, not have an explanation or reasoning. It should have more than a yes or no answer, and it should be a complete sentence. Turn to the next page, pause the video, and copy these notes into your composition notebook. For your evidence, where you want to check off, is every piece of evidence relevant to the claim? If it's not, chuck out that piece of evidence. Is there enough evidence listed to support the claim? Is each piece of evidence strictly an observation or data from the lab? Again, your evidence shouldn't be explaining or reasoning. It's just the facts, ma'am. Is the evidence specific and not vague or a generalization? Pause the video and copy the notes into your composition notebook. Finally, on our claim evidence reasoning checklist, we come to reasoning. Is there a justification about how each piece of evidence supports the claim? Is there a link between the evidence and the claim provided? You shouldn't just be repeating the evidence. You need to tell me why that evidence is important. Is there a scientific principle explaining why the evidence supports the claim? And finally, is the reasoning written in complete sentences? Please pause the video and copy the notes into your composition notebook. Finally, the deepest sin against the human mind is to believe things without evidence. Science is simply common sense at its best.